Welcoming in, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, everybody. It's week 14 of the NFL season, which means it's week 14 of 4th and 4, Belly Up Sports pregame show focusing on all things NFL, leading in with myself here from Grand Gallery alongside two of my good friends and two of the other guys that are part of this crew, Kelcey Coyne and DJ Stewart, in as playoffs in terms of the competition, in terms of the tight races for it coming to a head. I'm also at a different studio this week because we got that big old event that we got coming up that we'll be at right after this. It's going to be pretty exciting. So, good times ahead. Gentlemen, how are we doing?
Playoffs? We're talking about playoffs. Playoffs? All right, we got that out of the way. We're good now. You said it had to be reiterated.
Look, it feels good. You are all pumped up right now. I don't know how to prepare for this. Zach is bringing all the heat today. You might want to save some of that for that big event we got going on.
Just give me a Bang energy drink. I'll be going all day long.
I have a counter to your Bang energy drink. Since we're not sponsored by Bang, we're sponsored by BrewDog for this one, so I'll get you a BrewDog beer. How about that?
All right, hey, that's fair. That's fair. I'm looking forward to pounding a few of those down. So
if you shotgun it, it'll get you the nice little kick that you need. It'll have like a coffee effect. You just got to shotgun it, maybe two of them at once, double barrel.
It'll get me tailgate going. Completely different version of going.
You'll be body slamming tables without even being in Buffalo. You'll be ready to roll.
That is a life goal of mine, by the way. Bucket list item is jump and hit and break a folding table at a Buffalo Bills tailgate. So that is not out of the cards. That is a thing that I want to do.
I'm going to start a GoFundMe to make that happen for you. I'm going to just put a bucket outside of a table store that just says like fund a destroyed table in the future and see how well it works.
Look, I've broken a folding table before, and so I don't need help with that. I just want to do it for a cause, aka for a reason, or just around a whole bunch of dumb people who want to do the same thing, and that's where I really want to be.
No, you're burying the lead. You want to do it where it's accepted, because the first time you broke that table, it was not accepted.
Let's just say the first time I broke it, there was a lot of, I don't know what happened. I promise. I'm sorry. I don't know what happened to the table.
It wasn't surrounded by cheers and high fives. It was surrounded by, the table. No,
when it first happened, there were 2 high fives I got, and then we ran away. And then we had to explain it 10 minutes later, and I was like, I don't know what happened. I'm the largest person with a bunch of stick figures next to me. I don't know who broke the table. It wasn't me.
You gotta play it cool. Push it off. well, gentlemen, let's talk about someone that needs to start playing it cool, by the way. We'll go into quarter number 1. For those that don't know, quarter number 1 is our big news segment that we do during the week.
It's all right. I'm slow on the uptake today, boys. I was grabbing my mouse, and I forgot my mouse isn't plugged in right now.
You mean the producer forgot to grab the mouse?
The producer, Brew. He forgot to grab the mouse.
We got kickoff going. I say keeping cool. You know who has to keep cool, keep a low profile, hopes that he makes it through at least his first year? Urban Meyer, who I thought maybe learned his lesson from staying out of the media after his run-in in Columbus, just down the road from where we're currently all at. But no, now it's continuing to build tension with players. We're benching James Robinson after one fumble, and he disappears after Carlos Hyde getting hurt. We're having him try and have to have assistants mid-meetings defend their jobs. I mean, I'm not joking. Like, he asking them straight up, what have you done that's a winning culture thing? And having to basically embarrass them in front of the rest of the team. That's kind of screwed up.
Look, if I was an assistant of his, I'd have thrown punches. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'd be like, oh, I'll show you what I'm gonna do. That's a winning environment right now. And well, I'd no longer have a job, but you know what? I'd feel better for it.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm sure one of those players would happily throw me a little something.
If he was so concerned with their resumes, he is the one who hired them and picked his staff. So shouldn't that say more about him as well too? Like if you say why haven't they won anything? Well, you picked them, so that's on you as well too. Like your biggest accomplishment in recent memory is grinding on the prom queen after a flight. So I mean, let's reel it in a little bit there. He's not the last one to be. He's the last one that should be trying to come down on people after what he's been through this year.
Yeah, and let's be honest, a guy that looks like this. Like, can we be honest and say, like, a guy that looks like that causing trouble? No, there's no chance he causes trouble. Like, just look at the scowl on his face. That's a 10 out of 10 like level of I don't know what I'm doing type of scowl. Like, I'm way out of my depth. Please save me.
Right.
Like,
And on top of it too, we know.
Here's the thing. Like, my question is this what his normal like MO was? Like, say Utah or like Ohio State or Florida? Because to me, that's if he's been doing this like the entire time and no one's brought that attention, that's also screwed up. That it's like I'm going to bring this to the NFL now and start trying to throw this crap around and make supposedly put fear of God in my assistants and make them look like they're peasants in a way in the locker room.
Well, I guess when he's never really lost like this as well, too. I mean, he has 10 losses in his entire time at Ohio State, probably, and Florida combined. I mean, he never really had to deal with this. So I guess adverse times bring out the worst in people as well, too. And on top of it, in college, you can get away with berating them a little bit more, especially when he was coaching in his day, because they were younger kids. They're 18, 19 years old. These are full-grown men with mortgages and families and kids and fully functioning hands. They're not going to take that from him as well, to the point where Marvin Jones, one of the most quiet, soft-spoken, not causing any problem, least diva receivers you've ever seen, literally stormed out of practice and had to be brought back by other coaching staff because he was mad at what Urban Meyer said and how he berated the receivers as well. So, when Marvin Jones is upset, and he's a guy that played in Detroit, he knows what bad is, and he actually is storming out on you. That's when you know it's a problem. I bet you if you ask him right now, he'd be like, send me back to Detroit right now. You take Dan Campbell 1,000 times over for him, and I guarantee Trevor Lawrence is like, man, I should have stayed in college one more year. I'd much rather go to Dan Campbell and the Lions and deal with this mess.
Yeah. Look, Lawrence, to me, like the fact that he's also speaking out too. I think that shows how like he's like if you're having your star rookie kind of go against your own coach like that. I mean, that's kind of showing how dire the situation is at a player's level too, like the disrespect or mismanagement that might be going on.
You guys remember back in the day when the Buccaneers traded for John Gruden way back in the day? Maybe we could do some weird trade where Clemson trades Dabo Swinney for Urban Meyer? They just do a straight across swap at this point. I mean, I don't think Dabo Swinney's great, but he knows how to not get in Trevor Lawrence's way, at least, where Urban Meyer's struggling to even do that. So I mean, you never know. I mean, he did some good things with Trevor Lawrence and Travis Etienne, and maybe bringing Justin Ross in the draft and just make it Clemson even farther southeast, if you will.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Look, he brought is this whole thing with the one that bothers me the most is the fact your rookie quarterback is literally already questioning you on your sideline. Like a rookie, yeah, he's your face of the franchise. Whatever. Get out of here with the fact that a rookie is sitting there questioning your authority on the sideline to the point of being like going to the news reporters afterwards and saying, I don't know what was happening. One of our best players is on the bench. If we ever have a chance of winning, he needs to not be on the bench. Like, you're a rookie. Let's not get it twisted. Marvin Jones is a seniority player. He has all the pull. Like, him doing that tells a lot as well because he's a family-friendly, very good, like, from all intents and purposes, everything you've ever heard about him, he is a good dude. Yeah. And, like, for him to be walking out because of everything, like, he's never walked out of a meeting that I ever heard of in his time in Detroit. And that's Detroit. He's gone through winless teams in Detroit. Maybe not winless, but close to winless teams in Detroit.
Yeah, it's pretty bad teams.
Yeah, like he has done this for over 10 years. Like he has his retirement pension. He has never walked out of a meeting. And like, this is crazy to me. I mean, this has been, I thought he was going to be fired long ago, but the fact he made it this far is shocking to me.
I'll be shocked if he makes it through the offseason as well, too. Like, when they talk about Black Monday, the first Monday after the NFL season, if he still has a job after that, I would be kind of disappointed if I was a Jags fan. I'd be like, well, I quit. Get the paper bags. We're going back to the old ways and then cutting the holes in them and going back to that regardless, which is crazy to say when you have Trevor Lawrence as your quarterback, 20 years old to start next season, and it feels like there's no hope as long as Urban Meyer's at the top the way things have gone.
Everything can go wrong, will go wrong. And to add even onto this too, you can add this as maybe Meyer's system type of critique or what, or, just how they were handled this. I mean, credit, Lawrence was sitting there and all that, but now we got people talking about like Gardner Minshew going to Philadelphia, and all of a sudden you see him, of course, getting all the praise and spotlight. I know he played the Jets last week, but that also adds on to the entire tension, like, oh, great. This guy who was doing better in our first few starts already and even statistically has looked better in a different system that we had in Jacksonville, it's gone off, and we could have had him as a backup or chilling there if we needed to spell off Trevor Lawrence or something. I don't know. But, anything that can go wrong will go wrong right now for Urban Meyer and any of his credibility right now as an NFL coach, which was already thin coming into the NFL when he got hired by Jacksonville, because it looked like, to me, it was a publicity stunt disguised as a head coaching hire.
Yeah.
So,
look, Shad Khan needs to get it under control. That's just plain and simple.
That means that if you want to hire somebody that has no business being in the NFL, I mean, you could hire me. I could do the same. I could do what Urban Meyer's doing. I mean, I could stay at a bar late and then yell at other people for no reason.
could all three of us coach by committee? I would be up for doing
like
that.
I was going to say, you can pay us three combined what Urban Meyer's getting paid, and I can guarantee you, one, we're not going to get busted at a random college bar in Columbus unless you want us to, in which case, okay, send us. I'll sacrifice myself as the single one. That's fine. Two, I'd prefer not to do that. But three, we'd still be a better coach than what Urban Meyer is at this point in time because we would be smart enough to be like, top 5 running back in the league last year.
Mm-hmm.
Let's give him the ball. Wait, we signed Carlos Hyde? No, we're not going to sign Carlos Hyde. How stupid do you think we are? Run the ball with James Robinson. Hand the ball off to James Robinson. Throw the ball to James Robinson. And you know what? Occasionally, I'm going to throw the ball to DJ Shark and to Marvin Jones when they're healthy. Mm-hmm. Occasionally. Once they finally think I'm going to run the ball consistently, then I'll throw them the ball. The fact, look, Trevor Lawrence is a transcendent athletic talent at quarterback, and the dude is averaging like 150 yards a game. I'm sorry, what? One of the best arms we've ever seen is averaging 150 yards a game, and not James Robinson is getting carries?
Yeah, and it's on top of that too. DJ Shark, you mentioned out with that ankle fracture. It's his last year of his deal too. He's gonna be a free agent. I guarantee he's gonna be like, no, I'm good. I will take my talents out in free agency, even with a broken ankle, and I'll take a veteran minimum somewhere else than coming back for Jacksonville, whatever they're gonna.
Maybe gets the Allen Robinson treatment, but isn't questioned like Allen Robinson is in Chicago. Like goes and actually performs, and people believe it because he is a good, talented receiver and deserves to go somewhere else that's more successful. I'm just saying.
Just do a
because I don't think he should come back
to Jacksonville.
If Marvin Jones is going like this, I wonder what Shark's thinking.
Exactly.
So, yeah. You know what? Talking receivers. Well, let's talk about the Canadian Mr. Claypool over in Pittsburgh. Kelcey was getting fired up, of course, about Meyer and some of the practices right now. I've been waiting to hear from this because this was comedically bad. So how do you celebrate? So you're somehow miraculously in a game that you shouldn't have been in because the Minnesota Vikings decide, you know what, every game's got to be a struggle. Screw it. Pittsburgh's going to come back. And so you have a final drive. You're down 8. You get a catch inside Minnesota territory to convert a 4th down, and you celebrate with a first down point and basically get confused as hell in the line, burn time, and make it almost impossible to even get a chance realistically at the end zone. What the hell are you thinking? How does Pittsburgh magnetize receivers that do this ridiculous crap, it seems like, every few years? It's AB. Then you have Juju doing TikTok dances. And now you got Claypool, who was last year already hinting at stuff like this. And now is going full-blown, screw it. I don't understand my situation on the field. F this all. I have to celebrate because me.
And on top of it, he throws a little bit of lemon juice and salt on the wound as well too by blaming the offensive line when asked about it the next day. We've talked about this. You don't blame the offensive line. Oh, he knocked out of my hands. Well, maybe if you got your butt on the line, you were right there on the hash. Set the ball down, run to your spot.
I'm hurt, very hurt.
Okay, now I gotta clarify one thing and one thing only, and that is he was technically correct by saying it should have been a penalty when Eric Kendricks knocked the ball out of his hands. Technically. Yes. However, you're also then accusing the refs of missing a call, so then you fall into that category of now you're yelling at the refs and saying they didn't do their job and they're not competent, which, well, that's a fine. Also, on top of that, you just yelled at your lineman, and I hope to God he gets an end around or something and they're supposed to block for him because I can't wait. Zach, you're a former lineman. I'm a former lineman. You insulted a lineman and you're carrying the ball behind that line at any point in time? Oops. I just happened to fell because my shoe's untied. Oh, shucks.
You or I will do a longest yard type of thing, and Paul Crew is asked where it's like, you're just going to get hit. I ain't going to do anything.
Oh, no, I accidentally pushed Myles Garrett into you with a figurehead of steam.
You remember any given Sunday when Willie Beeman got crushed play after play after play after insulting the offensive line and insulting his teammates? You remember that rainy game that they always flash to, and he is just all bloody and just trying to do it his own? That's what Chase Claypool would be if he tries to run behind an offensive line after insulting them. Yeah. You don't do it. There are 3 people receivers do not insult. Your head coach, your quarterback, followed by your offensive line, and when you have an offensive line that is trying to build something. They have been building positively up until this point, and then you just drop a bomb on them. I mean, come on. Like, I thought Canadians were supposed to be nice. What happened to this, eh? Like, where's my Tim Hortons at? Like, that's what you're supposed to give me when you mess up. I'm supposed to get Tim Hortons from you, Chase Claypool, not Tim Horse Crab. This is garbage. I don't like this. This is Chase Claypool is from Notre Dame too, and I grew up a Notre Dame fan, so this is even more insulting for those that have watched Notre Dame receivers go and make something of themselves at the next level. Imagine if Golden Tate did something like this. The Golden Tate is already hated by so many people for being a gamer. If he did something like this, the dude would have never played another snap in the league. Like, period. It's the guy was a gamer, but he was never insulting to his own team.
Yeah, it's just it's so ridiculous. Like, you got to realize, like, I don't know, it just adds to the mystique of like receivers being prima donnas or divas, and like this is another amplifying moment to that. It's like, dude, I don't care. Like, okay, whatever. Like, the penalty wasn't called, but like even then, you're supposed to like. There's an example earlier a few days ago. They're showing an old clip of Larry Fitzgerald, I think from maybe 2 years prior, or like Kyler Murray's rookie season, where he's basically, it's a final drive. He goes up and sets the ball himself, goes and runs it back to the center and gives it back to the center. I mean, that's just a guy that to me, was a hard do your job lunch pail guy.
Yeah.
And I respect guys like that. I hate when I see guys like Claypool who waste it more on just look at me, it's all me. Doesn't matter what happens,
It's a part of the game. It's an educational part of the game that you have to learn, and you have to want to educate yourself in that. And honestly, I saw a tweet about that as well. And DJ showed me one today that shows 2 number 11s. It shows obviously Larry Fitzgerald, as you mentioned. By the way, Larry Fitzgerald is on our countdown as one of the greatest players for the Arizona Cardinals franchise. I'd honestly say probably the greatest player for their franchise, second to only Pat Tillman as far as most well-known and most respected out there. And, look, I'm glad I grew up watching him rather than watching this type of a number 11 in Chase Claypool, because this is just insulting to every talented receiver out there. Like, he has talent, but he's going to keep getting in his own way.
Yeah. Hate to see it. You know what? I hate to see that, but you know what I like every time with this show? I like it when DJ gets to give every bit of betting advice to us and pretty much school us as quarter number 2 is here. It's DJ's best bets, and of course some other ones that maybe me and Kelcey kind of try and chip in, because hey, DJ does a great job every show filling in with you all the details that you need. So this is your time to shine, DJ. Let's have it.
All right, so we're going to start with what we had last week. Last week, we went 3-3 with the 6 ones we looked at. The Jets got blown out, so they didn't cover that -7. And Kansas City, because of a pick 6, the Broncos did not cover the 9.5 because Teddy Bridgewater threw a pick 6 and at least tried to make a tackle, just didn't do a very great job. And we did have the Bills-Patriots actually did take the under because the Patriots ran at 25 consecutive times. So we did miss out on those 3, but we did get Washington as a +102 underdog. We did get Washington and Raiders going over taking the under at 49.5. And Colts Texans taking the under, as that was a 31-0 game. So we did pretty decent. Probably made a little bit of money last week, not a whole lot. But this week, what we're looking at is Denver -10 over Detroit. Take Detroit to cover, maybe even win that game as well too. Getting a little bit of steam off of their first win. Denver's kind of a mess. I mean, 1 minute they're fantastic, next minute they're terrible. So maybe they'll be great this week as well. But I look at Detroit and I think they could be within 10 points. Denver's not really a team to blow anybody out consistently. I'll be surprised if they end up blowing out Detroit. I think this one will be relatively close, like 17-14, 21-14, something like that. I look for it to be within 10. Chargers -9.5 over the Giants. Chargers win this one, but I think the Giants cover as well. Mike Williams and Chris Harris just getting pulled off the COVID list today, so they'll be good to go. Keenan Allen will be out because of the COVID list, so they'll be a little bit shorthanded. Giants, of course, shorthanded as well, too. They played absolutely outstanding against the Bengals last week, but knowing the Chargers' trajectory, they play great 1 week. The next week, they take a little bit of a poop and they struggle a little bit. So look for them to struggle a little bit against the Giants. Still get the job done. Justin Herbert's not going to let them lose this one, I don't think. But I think he's going to keep it. I think it's going to be relatively close. Looking for it to be a similar type of spread, like 21-24, 27-21, within 9.5 points. That's an awfully large spread. Considering the Chargers a little bit banged up as well. Joey Bosa as well left last week's game with a head injury. We'll see if that carries over as well, too. Looking at the spreads, Buffalo +142 underdog going against Tampa Bay. That's a tough one, but I kind of like Buffalo at +142. That's one of the more It's a relatively pick'em game, but plus 142 is pretty good odds as well, too, considering how good Buffalo really can be. I know they've struggled a little bit recently, just coming off that extremely weird loss to the Patriots. They got blown out by the Colts, but they also beat the brakes off the Patriots. They should have beat the Titans. They were within 3 inches of beating the Titans. Like, Buffalo they can turn it up or turn it down at any given moment, and I think this is the week they turn it up, considering if they lose, they're out of the wild card picture. The Colts will take their spot as a 7th seed. So this is not a must win, but oh boy, we really should win this one. Now looking at my favorite part, the over-unders. Cowboys versus Washington, 48 points. I'm taking the under on this one because I think the only way it goes over is that the Cowboys blow the brakes off Washington like a 44-10 game, and I don't really think it's going to happen. I think it's going to be weirdly low scoring. Taylor Heineke is going to be okay, but not make a lot of plays. Dak and the offense they've kind of struggled a little bit the last few months as well, too. They've been effective, but they haven't been quite as explosive. And I think the Washington defense will give them a little bit of trouble. So look for it to be a lower scoring, 28-17, maybe something along as like one of the higher scoring ends of it. Looking at Browns versus Ravens, 42.5 points. The last time they played, it was an offensive misery, to say the least. I mean, Lamar threw 4 picks, and Baker and the offense struggled to move the ball in general. I'm going to take the over in this particular game, however. 42.5 points, I think both teams clawing in the same way. The Ravens starting to free fall a little bit. The Browns, all but a must-win for them at this point as well, too, with how crowded and congested the AFC wildcard picture is. Look for them both to come out, I don't want to say guns blazing, but like maybe guns at least, loaded or something like that. Maybe able to 21, 24, something like that. 42.5 is a really low under, and I understand based off their last game, but both defenses are pretty good. But the Ravens secondary, who's going to suit up for them? Everybody's hurt with Marlon Humphrey now out for the season. Like, I'm pretty sure I could go talk to John Harbaugh, and I'll get a jersey number to go suit up and to play corner or something at this point. So look for even the struggling Browns offense to be able to put up a little points as well too. And then Packers Bears, 43 points. Take the over on that one. Even if it's a Packers route, the Bears will get some garbage time points. Justin Fields, I think, will get something moving. Even if it ends up being another Packers, Aaron Rodgers, I own you moment, 34-17, something like that. Either way, 43 is a really, really low under. I know Aaron Rodgers with that foot injury, but he joked about it. He owns the Bears in his worth. He's going to put up points, and Justin Fields in the offense, they'll find a way to get something going, whether it's garbage time or it's competitive all the way through. I mean, 24-20, that's a very reasonable score for this one, especially a rivalry game. So that's what I'm looking at in those ones. The over-unders this week are very fun. Some of those spreads are interesting. So I think it should be a fun week in betting. I think there might be some money to be made this week as well, too, especially coming off the last couple of weeks where we broke an even, or the 2 weeks ago when it was a little bit more rough.
Or if you listened to me about the Lions last week, you won a whole lot of money off of that one.
I was going to – you jumped the gun ahead of it because I was going to be letting you have your time. But you know what? Fine.
No. I don't need somebody to let me have the time. Like the Lions, I'm going to take my time, and I'm going to get my time when I desire to do that time. No, I'm just kidding. I appreciate it.
As we bring up the pick'em graphic now.
Yeah. We're not going to get there yet. You know what? Because somebody talked me into taking the Jets last week. I'm not going to let them be known who they are, DJ.
I literally told you you're not going to take the Jets. You're like, screw it, I'm going to take the Jets. That was the conversation. Don't you try and pin this on me, Ricky Bobby.
You're not wrong. Like I have to make things happen in the pick'em. So got to go crazy. But look, I'm looking at it this week again, and why not keep going with these unders? These low hanging fruit, or I call them low hanging fruit. You're going to probably lose money on half of them, but you know what? On the other half, you make a lot of money. So I'm looking at the Texans Seahawks, the Texans on this one. Right now, if I'm not mistaken, it's about a plus 400 odds for the Texans to win, which take that money. I mean, why not? The other ones I'm looking at, Raiders Chiefs. Again, plus 350 odds for the Raiders in the money line, plus 10 spread. At the very least, they cover the spread. I know I keep talking about the Raiders constantly as like maybe they're going to come back eventually, but you got to stop a free fall eventually, right? Like either your body hits the ground or you finally slow it down. Like one or the other is going to happen, and you're going to luck into something. So wouldn't surprise me if it's against the division rival Chiefs. And yet again, I'm going the Lions, as DJ mentioned, the Lions Broncos on this one. Why not? And if you happen to parlay these, the odds are ever in your favor. You got plus 350 for Las Vegas. For the Seattle game, you're looking at plus 330 for Houston. And then Detroit is a plus 425 odds. I mean, you parlay those together, you happen to hit all three, please send me a lotto ticket.
Yeah.
Honestly, just send me like 1%. That would be cool too. Like I'll take any of that. That's a nice chunk of change I'll be walking away with.
Yeah, look, it's a long shot to happen. But in a year we've seen a whole lot of long shots happen. The Lions just got their first win. They're feeling pretty good about themselves. The Broncos, as DJ mentioned, kind of free falling. The Texans, though, I think that Texans Seahawks one is probably the most fun. That could be a very interesting one. At the very least, I think they cover the spread.
Well, that could be interesting, especially no Jamal Adams in that one. Davis Mills getting the nod for the rest of the season as well. So very interesting as well, too. It looked like the Seahawks got their offense figured out last week, but that could just be because they only play well against the 49ers. So we'll have to see if the Seahawks are back or if it was a one-off. Because if they are back, Tyler Lockett fantasy owners are excited. DK Metcalf ones, maybe not as much. But say Tyler Lockett ones are absolutely ecstatic. We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah. Oh, people are going to be stoked if you have the Seahawks offense cooking fully. If you want to say that, because I mean, I think you're going to hit the over on that game. I think this is legit, and it's the Texans, so it's a little easier of a pickup. I only have two that I'm focusing on myself, and one's an over/under situation, one's the spread. One, I don't think that the Chargers. I'm going to say this is maybe a hot take-ish way. I don't think they cover the spread because I think the Giants have been playing better defensively against certain teams. I also am going to reference the Chargers' inconsistency because they can't play week to week the exact same way or as electric as they have been, no pun intended, as they were last week against the Bengals.
No. All the puns intended. It's okay. You can accept
the pun. I'm a pun guy, so I'm still okay with it. But I'm just telling you, I'm predicting another inconsistent performance, and they're not going to cover that 9.5 point spread. It'll be maybe a one possession game, 8-point win. It's not going to be covering the spread though. And I'll die by that one if that's fine. I also see New Orleans and New York and the New York Jets being an under situation. Obviously, Taysom Hill doesn't give me much confidence in that offense, and it's a mess right now trying to figure out what you're going to do. Kamara is back, so that's fine, but you still need someone that can sling the rock and can manage it and not turn the ball over consistently. And I don't know. I think that the Jets, you'll be able to get a fight out of that to where you won't be able to cover that 43-point over/under there. So I think it's an under to me. New Orleans will be the factor on that game, is how I see it.
Definitely agree with you on that one, too. I guess a bonus one, too, I just looked at as well, too. For the Cardinals and the Rams, 53 points for or about 50 points for the over-under, actually. Excuse me, 53, I believe, was for the Bills and the Buccaneers. But still, 50 points for the over-under. That is absolutely 51.5. There we go. Sorry, got those mixed up. But 51.5, that's a tough one to take as well, too, because Sean McVay and the offense, they like to play like it's the first quarter in the fourth quarter if they're getting blown out as well. So they find a weird way. I do think they're going to hit the over on that one as well, though. Cardinals look like Kyler Murray's midseason vacation paid off because he looked in full form, full 100% form. Nuke Hopkins, clearly he only needs 50% of his hamstring to be fully effective still. And I think the Rams are going to come in with a little bit of a vengeance this time as round two. I think that division beats up on each other so much. I expect them to split. Look for it to be 35-27, something like that. So I could see that one very easily taking the over for 51.5. Like, even if it's a blowout too, either way, I feel like the other team's going to do what they can to more or less cover it because that's how it was. That's how every Rams game is. It feels like even when they're getting toasted, Sean McVay's like, no, we will find success on offense some way, shape, or form. We will score with 2 minutes left, even if we're down by 30. They find a way to do it. So I think that one definitely look at the over as well too.
Yeah, that one's pretty up there too, actually. I saw 54.5.
Yeah, sorry, I was muted. 54.5 for Bills Bucks. Yeah, you mentioned that one, right, DJ?
Yeah, that one, I don't want to touch that one because at the same time, both defenses are fantastic, but at the same time, I don't know what to think at this.
Yeah, I was about to say, that is the one, if you could take a push on that or just like not choose it, do that.
I'd rather just pick an outright winner if I was going to look at that one. That's why I mentioned them as the plus. I like Buffalo as a plus 142 underdog, but for over/under, I don't want to touch that one because we've seen moments where the Bills and the Bucks offenses are kind of poopy. Weirdly enough, against the Colts, both of them look poopy. The difference was Tampa Bay in the second half, they exploded. And then you look at their defenses, kind of the same situation. Their defense is elite. Then out of nowhere, they let Carson Wentz drop 30 and 40 points on them. Well, I guess Jonathan Taylor on the Bills, but you get the point as well too. So they can sometimes randomly get had. So, and we saw against the Patriots, Damian Harris. 3 big runs, and that's really all they needed to win that game. So right. I'm going to avoid that one with the over-under because both teams give me an aneurysm as somebody trying to put money on the line for them.
Yeah, no doubt. We've broken Zach.
Good Lord. that Monday night game last week is still nuts. I love the game, by the way, even with the high wind and being a reminiscence of doing an Army-Navy contest for the Pats. It just something special. You don't see that every day in the NFL. Don't see it, Anyway, we're going to take a halftime here really quick where we tell you about, if you aren't already out there right now, you should be at this amazing tailgate that we are doing. The Belly Up Sports Tailgate presented by Colorcast, which we'll be colorcasting there live on location from Top Dog Tailgate. That starts at 9 a.m. running through noon out there. And we're also going to be doing other events with that. We're actually have Brewdog Brewing. We're going to be giving out beer from them. And we're going to be giving away a signed Joe Thomas jersey too. And Kelcey, if I missed any tidbits, please fill me in and them. But I think that covered most of the stuff that you got to know.
Yeah, no, look, it's important to know that Top Dog Tailgate, we're teaming up with them because you guys don't know about Top Dog Tailgate. They're one of the best foodie tailgates out there. And I do mean literally one of the best. They're serving up a Baltimore-themed menu this week, which, by the way, sounds absolutely fantastic. And I don't even like half of the things that, like, mostly would be on there. To be honest, I'm a picky eater. But you know what? I'm all for this one. It is just all sorts of great food. There's going to be adult beverages. There's going to be giveaways, not just from us, but from Top Dog Tailgate as well. You can win some tickets to the game. You can win a few other jerseys that they have available out there. There's a whole lot of stuff that's going to be going on at 890 Summit. So corner of 3rd and Summit, if you guys are in the Cleveland area, right next to the RTA station. We're just right there. You can literally overlook and see the stadium from where we're at. And, you'll see us out there. You'll hear our speakers for sure. So come check us out. At least come say hi, get a beer, get a koozie. You'll see the belly up hanging sign on the front of our table. So we may or may not be tipsy though. I don't know. We'll see we'll see what time you show up.
Please show up. Enjoy some beer, talk with us, check out our cast, and it's going to be an excellent event. Like I said, if you aren't out there already, you need to get out there right now because we're already having a good time as we're talking here as we are setting this show up. And we're going to be out there already at this point if you're listening in. So, keep listening to us.
Much less warm than we are now.
Live.
Yeah, we're going to be much less warm than we are right now. That's for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
But
I brought stuff. I'm prepared. I got the things ready. I will be currently as I'm
prepared until I get out there and I realize that I was not prepared.
Isn't that how it always happens, though?
Yeah. Every time.
One thing, it always happens, even vacations, you name it. It's always one thing that goes awry. It's okay. It's all right.
It's a fantasy world where things go the way they're supposed to.
What I hope doesn't go awry for you out there, for everyone, is your starts and sits for fantasy. As we're going to end our halftime and jump right in to the third quarter. Fantasy starts and sits, our segment covering our guys that we think are going to succeed here for Week 14. People that if you have them on your roster, if you happen to maybe still be looking in terms of trying to set yourself up with a waiver wire, maybe you get lucky and you can quickly swap some things out while you're listening in. I don't have too much this week. Really, my main ones that I have is I'm leaning heavy on the Chargers. As much as I know I was talking inconsistency, I still will say, for example, if you're looking for a tight end this week and he is on some free agent markets, might be picked up right now, but I think Jared Cook might be a good choice this week against the Giants. Could see that being opportunistic. New York has been, let's just say, they're not always the greatest with the tight end, with protecting against the tight end production. Cook is very serviceable. I think that is a good option for you as well. I will say this week, I mentioned this as well last week, Kyle Pitts, I'm iffy about it. Again, that's more the setup that the Carolina Panthers have, and just the fact that you have to lean heavier on Atlanta's pass game, either on Russell Gage or Kyle Pitts. So one of them is going to get covered up. My guess is it's going to be Pitts. Other than that, if you're going to talk like any points or production, I would say lean on really. We've got two explosive games this week, so any Buffalo Bills, Bucks players, or if we're talking even like Rams, Cardinals, like these are going to be games that are just offensive sprints. So, any chance you're able to have some guys, or like say for example, someone like a Van Jefferson, who isn't like an Odell or a Cooper Kupp that maybe still is floating out there. Look for Van Jefferson. He's in a few leagues. I know that he kind of floats as like maybe a flex, or he's a quick plug and play. You might get lucky and he's still available, is how I'd see it. But anything that's related with those two games are places you want to start up with, and you'll be able to get some points out of.
I like it.
Okay, that you know what, I'm going to differentiate with you on one part. I'm going to start with my sits first. I'm sitting all Bills running backs. I'm not messing with that Tampa Bay defense, especially when Buffalo simply refuses to run the ball in the first place. I mean, they'll give you like 3 good runs a month, it feels like, as well, too. I'm not touching Burita, Singletary, or Zach Moss just because I don't trust them going against that defense. We saw when they want to stop the run, they will throw 5 defensive linemen out there and say, good luck, everybody else. They will go out with an actual 5-2. So I'm not trusting any of the Bills running backs in that regard. I love all the receivers. I agree with you on them. But running backs, I'm sitting all of them if I have the opportunity. And for other sits, I'm also looking at Brandon Ayuk as well, too. Last week, I kind of wanted to start him. No Deebo Samuel. They decided not to give him the ball. They decided George Kittle's going to feast now without Deebo Samuel. So I'd probably sit Brandon Ayuk, the guy who's been wild. I don't want to say inconsistent. It's not directly his fault, but Kyle Shanahan likes to place him in and out of the doghouse pretty frequently. So Brandon Ayuk, if I can sit him, I would like to if I can. If I have Mike Williams and I know he's playing, I'm going to pick Mike Williams over him. Brandon Ayuk kind of scares me, honestly. He just scares me. Because if it comes down to him, I would be terrified, especially as we're heading into the playoffs. For fantasy football sits, Darrell Henderson just got considered injured, so he'll not be playing this week against the Cardinals, which means I like Sony Michel, who had a very, very good week last week as well, scored 20 points as well, too, against Jacksonville. So I like Sony Michel this week to maybe give you about 10 to 15-ish points as well, too. Obviously, the Cardinals' defense is significantly better than Jacksonville's, but I think Sony Michel will be a productive RB2 flex type of guy for you this week. And then looking at the Packers and the Bears game, there will be no Randall Cobb, recently having a core muscle injury. So look for Alan Lazard. If you are desperate for a receiver and an extra flex for some reason, I think he's a guy who could pick up a lot of those targets. A big-bodied receiver that Aaron Rodgers does trust and throws him the ball quite a bit as well, so he drops more of it than you would like. But he's a guy that I do think finds his way to get open. 6'5" guy, maybe in the red zone, you can see him get loose and maybe get you a touchdown with 5 or so catches, something like that. Potential 10 to 15 point type guy as well, too. Obviously, most of the big name guys you already have at this point in the season, you're going in for the playoffs. Those could be some underrated sleeper type guys that if you're in desperate need of a flex, maybe give those guys a flyer.
I like it. Okay. Yeah, if you're like me, you're trying to fight for a fantasy playoff position at this point in time. You win, you're in. You lose, you're out. So maybe you're like me and you don't have to worry about a quarterback. But if you do, well, I got a couple of answers for you. If you're looking for a sit right now, you have Derek Carr. You probably want to sit him. I know I did pick the Raiders to potentially upset that. I just don't know if it's going to be through the air. L'Jarius Sneed has stepped up, and that secondary stepped up big lately. I do look for the running game to be more effective for the Raiders, but that'll be, obviously you'll see that during the game. A sneaky sleeper at quarterback right now, go look at Cam Newton. Heading to Atlanta to play Atlanta right now. That's his hometown, playing for the Carolina Panthers again. And when he was previously with the Panthers, he used to tear up the Atlanta Falcons constantly. So look for that one for sure as well for a sleeper there at quarterback. Other than that, though, we talked about Chase Claypool, and I got to say, you got to bench him. He is literally looking like a giant bust this week. We don't know how long this benching is going to actually last for this week. Does Mike Tomlin really come into effect and say, you won't play this week? We'll have to wait and see if they're not on the same page. I think he'll give him a little bit of leeway, but Deontay Johnson has been a much better performer than him anyways lately. So that's a bigger reason that I look for him to possibly bust this week. And then also Taysom Hill, by the way. I feel like I need to mention this. If you have a quarterback, you just want to, maybe you don't trust him enough. Maybe you have Kirk Cousins who may or may not get you the points. Go get Taysom Hill. He's playing against the Jets. Like, why not? I guess Kirk Cousins would work because he played on Thursday, but my point still stands. A quarterback of that ilk where you may or may not have, or maybe you have Derek Carr. Maybe switch him out for Taysom Hill. Get a few more points than you maybe would otherwise. I don't know. Just a couple of shots in the dark here. Because at the end of the day, fantasy football, we don't know it. Like, I'm hoping on a prayer that I get something, get lucky at this point in time. I got this far. I'm not DJ. I'm not the lucky one of the group for sure.
How am I lucky out of the playoffs? I don't know what you're talking about as well, too. Jeez, I'm the betting guy, not the fantasy football guy. I build other people's teams. I don't build my own.
That's true. Fair enough.
Other people's teams that I help with that I build for them, they succeed and get first place. Mine, on the other hand, are always constantly in that, will they make it or will they not? Mine are like, oh, well, we'll see. We're going to tease you till the end. Like, everyone else has let me pick your team, but don't let me be the coach. Let me be the GM at this point.
That's fair. I can attest to him helping with the draft.
I just want to give the playoffs in sleeper. That's all that matters to me.
Yeah. Right now, look, if I win, I'm in. And
I'm like, I need to be in it.
I think if I'm not mistaken, Zach, if I win, I'm in and you're out. And if you win and I lose, it's the reverse.
Pain.
What if you both win though?
If we both win, I think I'm in. I'm the in, and he's on the outside looking in.
Ooh, we're gonna see whose fantasy football sleepers coming to play this week.
Yeah, because right now I'm projected to play Tony in the next round, and that'll be, yeah.
I couldn't find when Kamara went out. I could not find a good replacement. That's the thing that kills me. Is I kept I kept failing at finding plug and plays for him, and I might be out of the playoffs because of it.
I stole Devontae Freeman from somebody. I don't know who dropped him in the middle of the week on their bye week, but they did it. And I was like, pick up. I know he's not playing this week, but give me him because he's going to work. That was right after they announced Le'Veon Bell's, and he has literally saved my team. So,
is it 2021 or 2017? Like Devontae Freeman saves fantasy team. Like who would have thought, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, good for you.
Too bad he can't save my pick'em team.
If you make it in, I wish you the best.
Look, if too bad he can't save my pick'ems. That's all I care about right now.
Fair enough. Let's feel. I'm going to feel a little better about myself here as we go to the fourth quarter. It's pick'em time, everybody. Presented by Colorcast. We're bringing you the primetime games, at least, or the top matchups that we'll be doing, or we'll be color casting. By the way, so some of these will be events. Although this week it's a little bit different, and you see the different, at least, spreads on the overall scores. Hector's lead is shrinking ever so slightly, and so is my
guy.
Cushion over DJ. As you can see, he got one more win than I did.
Look, hey, the football guy finally stuttering here, and it's because he's been talking all that smack lately. Karma's coming back to bite him. Yeah, I said it, Hector. Talking all that smack over there. You need to calm down. Coming here right.
Damn, Kelcey, you're talking all the smack now too. As soon as Hector takes a little stumble, and here you are, come flying in like a bat out of hell to let him know.
Yeah,
Kelcey's
absolutely.
Knowing that he's technically last since Jim hasn't picked in weeks.
Here's the thing: if as long as you guys aren't the one talking trash, that means you have a meat shield in your way for in case he does win and then goes back with more trash talking. He can't blame you guys. He can just blame me, and I'll be like, I was in last place. I was trash talking everybody.
I do want to point out how I started this season minus 500 for the first 2 weeks and have climbed back to respectable. So I told you guys that I dug myself a hole. I managed to get out of that hole. After all that trash I was getting told in those first few weeks from the likes of Kelcey and Jim and Zach over here making fun of me in those early weeks, and suddenly it's a competitive race now. So I'll take my apology in writing.
Yeah, DJ's right there. Like I'm nervous about it. I got to be careful with my picks now. A lot more, or at least hopefully more thoughtful about it. Although there's a lot of splits this week. All three of the games we're going to talk about, we have to do like heavily debated bits on. So I guess let's just kick that off. Which, you know what, we'll throw up first the one that we're at, that we're going to be at the tailgate for. Baltimore taking on Cleveland at First Energy. And, well, look at that. I'm the only one that didn't pick the home team.
You picked with the football guy means you're going to lose.
Yeah, Kelcey can tell you that firsthand off of last week, too.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
All right, Zach, well, defend yourself. Why are you picking the away team while we're sitting right there in the comforts of Cleveland Brown Tailgate Stadium area? Why are you picking the away team?
We'll literally be able to turn around, hopefully, or just look straight ahead and see the stadium.
Right. Well, look, it's funny because I can also make another argument for myself with the whole Marlon Humphrey injury that, of course, adds another kink or another chink in my armor on this. But I'm going to be frank with you. I think that you're going to see for Baltimore, you're going to see a lot of course, the consistent running game there. And I also will say that as long as Baker Mayfield is lining up as the starter with his battered self, I'm not going to see consistent offense enough to give me confidence that you're going to have the Browns take down the big guys like the Baltimore Ravens, who, even though that they have chinks, have proven that they have a depth in their roster. They can just plug and play people and get wins. And I know that these divisional matchups are always prone to splits, but I don't see it. This is not the same Cleveland team that we saw last year. And since they don't want to admit that, Baker Mayfield in his own right is dealing with his own ailments, eventually, all you do is key into the run game in terms of what Cleveland's doing. You got to force Mayfield to make plays, and it's a crapshoot at that point. Plus, I would say that, we last contest, it was a 1-point game, or it was a one-possession game, 17-10. And even then, with 4 interceptions that you saw Lamar Jackson throw, they still got it done. Mark Andrews can do what he wants in that secondary and just get himself open. I'm saying that with the depth of the roster that Baltimore has, and just the fact that they keep on ignoring the obvious with Mayfield's ailments, it's not going to help them. It's going to be an ugly day. You're going to hear some boos. I'm thinking Browns fans are going to be really pissed off by the end of the afternoon.
That's their standard. I mean, they're always pissed off. So I mean, like that's pretty normal as well. But Kelcey, I'll let you go first. Since I touched on them during the betting segment, Kelcey, I'll let you go first on this one. You can start with why you picked the Browns first.
I'm glad to see you're drinking the Browns Twitter Kool-Aid. Here's some fresh water if you would like that instead. Maybe get off Baker a little bit here. Look, it's not his fault. Here's the thing. Here's at the end of the day, the GMs keep running him out here. The coaching staff keep running him out here. They have full credit to be like, hey, Baker, you're not playing. I still stand by if he got two full weeks, we'd see a different Baker of just breathing and sitting down. But you know what? There's so many injuries in this secondary for Baltimore. It is crazy to think that Baker with 2 hurt shoulders can't continue to dink and dump his way all the way up this team. Because let's be honest, Patrick Queen, not a coverage linebacker. Far from it. Onwusar, not a guy that you drop into coverage. Owa, not a guy you drop into coverage. There is not a single linebacker on this Ravens team I'm worried about in coverage. And none of their secondary that's actually going to be playing am I worried about in coverage. So Harrison Bryant is about to eat. David Njoku is about to eat. Austin Hooper, I don't know. I don't care if he's about to eat. He's about to eat somebody alive as he blocks him as Nick Chubb runs off his hip for a 45-yard touchdown run. The only booing you're going to be hearing is when they pull out everybody as it's 45-0 in this game.
So you're saying this is going to be a complete one-sided butt whooping and the home team swinging the hammer?
Wow.
I'm saying I'm just going to embellish the score a little bit. I'm not thinking it's 45-0.
I want to hear you say it with your chest now. You're saying this is going to be a 3+ possession difference.
I think this is going to be, yes, a 3+. I think there's going to be a point where Baker and Jarvis and David Njoku, I'm going to put back my full screen. Jarvis, David Njoku, all of them are going to be sitting on the bench, having a good time, watching as Baltimore is sitting over there on the other side, trying to figure out what they're going to do as they continue their free fall.
Well, David Njoku's in COVID protocol, so then he won't be playing. So I hope he's not sitting.
He's going to be sitting in the booth somewhere.
Okay.
Next to us, probably. He's probably sitting next to us, and as we're telling you, who knows? Maybe he makes an appearance. I don't know.
If he sits 6 feet over there with his COVID self right now. I mean, just keep it a little bit distance, but he's more than welcome to hang out.
But no, look, maybe I'm overconfident. Last time I felt this good, it was the Chargers game, and they did lose, but Baker backed up everything I said. So I feel comfortable about it.
Okay, I picked the Browns is for a complete different set of reasons, honestly. When I look at it, the only thing the Browns receiving core is painful right now, but the only thing more painful is whoever's going to play in the secondary for the Ravens, as I alluded to earlier. None of their week 1 projected starters will be playing, if I'm not mistaken, as well, too. I mean, no Deshaun Elliott, no Marlon Humphrey, no Marcus Peters. Like, they're just running out of guys in the secondary as well, too. The front line has been pretty good. They've been all right against the run. They've been pretty good, but I think Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt both healthy this week as well. The offensive line coming off the bye week a little bit more healthy. Austin Hooper still a quality tight end, even though the rest of the tight end room is banged up. Baker Mayfield, I think, with that week off, he'll be inconsistent, but I think he'll be able to hit those shots and be able to keep the Ravens honest. They won't be able to put they won't be able to run a 5-2 themselves. They won't be able to take a Buccaneer strategy and stick 5 guys on the line and make just enough plays. And that defense has come to play throughout the season. They've had 1 or 2 games where they've struggled a bit, but for the most part, they have been absolutely fantastic. Myles Garrett, arguably one of the top 3 candidates for Defensive Player of the Year. The secondary is getting a little more healthy. They forced Lamar Jackson to 4 interceptions last time. Don't think that's going to happen this time. I think Lamar's going to have a few more Lamar Jackson-esque plays, but I really don't trust that Ravens secondary. I look for the Browns to win this in a not 3-4 possession blowout, but maybe something along the lines of 28-24, 31-27, something along a relatively close type game, of which they will get the over as well. It won't be quite as defensive oriented as last time, or we'll see some defensive scores.
You said 31-27. I thought you were getting down there in the 31-17 range for a second. I was like, well, you're getting close to 3 possessions.
No. I think it's going to be relatively close. I mean, last year when they played, the first one was a butt whooping, but the second time it took Lamar Jackson taking the Browns to the Super Bowl, quote unquote, before he came out of the bathroom and ended up throwing the game-winning touchdown. So we'll have to wait and see. Last year was really close as well, too, and I think while neither team is as good as they were last year, I think it's going to be a similar type game because both teams are struggling and injured in parts that I think complement the other team's strengths. So should be a very fun matchup as well, too. I think it'll be better than the first one, and look for some more points, and I think the Browns will defend because their playoff life depends on it. They lose, and they're pretty much done if they lose this game.
Can I get +5 if it does end up a 3-point or 3 possession difference in this game for the Browns? Can I get a +5 on my pick'ems?
If you pick an exact score right now, I'll give you +2.
Exact score. All right, exact score of 38-14. All
right, so if it is 38-14, I'll give you +2 for this one.
Oh.
So what it'll do is you'll get I'll give you the +2 and mine won't count. So mine will just be another tie.
I'm thinking 20-14, really.
So 38-14. It has to be 38-14.
38-14. I swear.
Watch it be 39-15. I really hope it is.
This is going to be the one time somebody's going to miss an extra point when it's going to get me a right spot on both of them. So it's going to be like 37-13. And I'm just going to sit there and stare at this score for forever. The exact point differential I need, 1 point shifted. I just, whoo.
Whew.
All right, you hear
Rants that will be coming from me on the anywherever I'm at that day.
You hear it here. The chance for Kelcey to start his comeback starts with a 38-14 victory for the Browns. So we'll see if it can play that.
Let's see if we get some more comebacks here. Again, we're all split with all three of these. So we'll move on to the second one on the slate. We'll do Bucks Bills that we got. Again, I'm having to be on the island on this.
You can't pick with the football guy. You'll get in trouble.
It's okay. I have my reasons, I guess. And I got some good ones. Here's why. And this is what I observed last week. And I know that the weather conditions permitting, you had Buffalo having to lean on a pass game because, of course, their run, as DJ's mentioned, is definitely not stabilized whatsoever. Of course, Kelcey's going to be upset because I had Matt Breida last week being a good start, which he should have been if he doesn't fumble the ball. They probably don't banish him to the shadow realm, by the way. But what I noticed last week with the Bills against the Pats? The Pats had consistent pressure on Josh Allen. You know what the Bucks are really good at? Having the front seven pressure. And I know that secondary is weak, but if you can't have people keep your quarterback safe, it doesn't matter, is what I'm going to say. Josh Allen's going to be scrambling for his life. You can only scramble so much until you start getting some hits and taking some crucial sacks. That's how I see it. And plus, I know that the Bills have Tre'Davious White gone and that they can make adjustments. It's not like it's impossible. But Tom Brady's having one of his best seasons of his career, and I have not seen any sign of slowdown so far. I think that you're going to see pressure overwhelming at least Josh Allen and the Bills, allowing the Bucs to have to continue to sprint. I mean, it's going to be kind of a chance of like, okay, we've scored. You're going to respond or not? And eventually it's going to be at least one or two possessions where the Bills can't respond because Allen cannot escape forever. And if you can't lay on the run game forever, you're going to have to pass. That's where the problems lie in. That front seven is going to dominate is how I see it for the Bucs.
Okay. I think their front seven has to dominate. Otherwise, the Bills have a chance to possibly walk away with this one comfortably. I think this is a game where you see Cole Beasley actually look like, Cole Beasley from last year, not the guy who's just hasn't really done shot this year. He hasn't really done a whole lot. Yeah. He hasn't done a whole lot. He's been pretty much the last guy out, more or less. But I think this is the game you see him get because he's going to get open quickly. He's a guy that can. The secondary for the Buccaneers is hit or miss. Some days they look really good. They're stopping all slants you could ask for. The next minute they're giving up 4 touchdowns in the first half to an average quarterback. So it'll be up to those type of guys to get open quickly to avoid that pressure and back them off. And I look John Feliciano returning to the offensive line for the Bills off the IR. And weirdly enough, you talked about Tom Brady, outstanding season, arguably the MVP right now. 5 consecutive games he's turned the ball over, though, as well, too. So he's getting a little bit flustered back there, I guess you could say sometimes. I think while he has one of the best offensive lines in the game, it's not consistent. I think he's sometimes forcing the ball in some areas as well. And Jordan Poyer, Taron Johnson, Micah Hyde, that's even without Tre'Davious White, that's still a quality secondary. Tremaine Edmonds, Matt Milano, and still the top-rated defense in the NFL, too, is the Bills. I mean, they lost the game last week because they gave up 3 runs to Damian Harris, really. I mean, it was 3 runs that won the game. The rest of the time, they locked them down. That's what I'm looking at. And I don't think the Bucs are going to be able to run on them quite like that as well. And I think Tom Brady he'll have to be careful. I don't think they'll be able to run quite like that. I don't think they're going to crack 100 yards rushing to it. So look for it to be a close one. I think the Bills, they have what it takes. I think they're desperate, too. We talked about it. If they lose this one, the Colts slide into the 7th seed, and the Bills are on the outside looking in. So, if the Bills are looking at us like, oh, hell no, we are not letting that happen. And Tom Brady and the Bucs, they're pretty up and down. So I think this could be one that they just let slip as well, too. They're very similar talent-wise. I look for the desperate Bucs to take this one, or the desperate Bills to take this one.
Okay, fair enough. Look, you don't no faith in Lenny Fortuddies. That's okay.
I don't think he's going to give you 400 yards and pull a day. I don't think he's going to put the team on his back, though.
Look, I don't either. So I just love the fact that he was wearing that T-shirt.
Hopefully better weather.
Yeah. I just love the fact he was wearing that T-shirt today in a picture that they shared with Tom Brady, Mike Evans, and him, and somebody else were also in that picture. But shout out to the meme culture that's been built in here. Look, you mentioned Jordan Poyer, and I want to go back to him, and this is the reason why I think this game is going to be different. Which, if you go back to my preseason picks, DJ, you remember I said something about Jordan Poyer and what he does well. He sneaks coverages in there. And you know what has always caused Tom Brady a problem? A safety that sneaks into coverage. If he changes his coverage at the last second and he doesn't catch it early enough, a.k.a. Bill Belichick tells him, Tom Brady has a nightmare of a game. Just think about what Yair Alexander did to him in the NFC Championship game in the second half. I mean, it doesn't just happen. That is a type of talent that is unheard of. And Jordan Poyer is one of the best at sneaking himself into different coverages at the last second before you can diagnose him. So don't be surprised if Jordan Poyer comes away with two picks in this one. Not 2 touchdowns, but 2 picks in this one and causes an absolute havoc on Tom Brady. And by the way, this is the same prediction I gave for the Super Bowl, my Super Bowl prediction. And I forgot this game even happened. And I look back at my predictions. Well, I had the Bills winning that one too. So sticking with my predictions preseason, I've done the best when I stick with them. So I'm doing that, and I'm going with it.
All right. I feel you.
It's a sad. All right.
I feel you. I can see it. I'm just saying.
We're going to see Zach on the island again with this third and final game. Is he following Football Guy again, or does he join one of us? And it looks like same story, different chapter.
Don't follow the Football Guy.
Total ride or die this week. That is the MO of the show this week. It is ride or die with Hector.
So either DJ is going to make an epic comeback and be in that vying, or Zach and Hector are about to run away, and me and Kelcey will just be fighting to avoid the cellar.
Yeah. I don't have to worry about it anymore. I think Jim's got that pretty well.
Here I go defending myself again. Hear me out. Fully healthy a mostly healthy Cardinals roster. Kyle Murray showed last week. Didn't need to do too much because defensive credit with the Andy Dalton giving you some picks, but Murray showed that he is he's at least healthy at this point. And since he had to do too much last week, he can of course ease back in, if not be fully ready to go. Same for Diop, although he showed that he was all the way healthy, burned Jalen Johnson as well. So I think you have a roster that is fully stocked. And as we've seen already, has beaten the Rams once. Though OBJ is the new X factor, I don't see that as enough. I mean, we've seen teams that have had just as equally good rosters, a.k.a. Green Bay Packers, who the Cardinals should have won, by the way, if it's not for A.J. Green not turning his damn head around. It doesn't seem like they come to play. I think, in my opinion, that Sean McVay gets outcoached by better teams. A.k.a. I'm going to see that you're going to see another instance where Cliff Kingsbury, surprisingly, will outcoach Sean McVay once again. That's my take on this whole thing, is that I think that even with the new additions, with Von Miller, who hasn't really shown up, by the way, OBJ, who has had his moments, but I wouldn't say has been splash play enough for me to justify having him yet. I think the Cardinals are able to withstand it. I think they sweep them, honestly. I think that they put the division to bed. They take it. It's another step towards possibly getting a chance to have the NFC East #1 seed. But it's going to be a tougher contest, mainly because you saw the Rams trying to go, quote-unquote, all in. And the second time against a division opponent, you usually don't see a second blowout in a row. Keep in mind that the first one wasn't really a close contest. The scoreboard makes it look better, but, I need to have the Rams prove to me that they can step up to high-caliber competition, because this year I haven't seen too much of that so far. Early on, they did. Lately, though, it seems like it's been disgruntled. And though the Jags were kind of a tune-up, I don't know if that team's going to be able to gel like that.
It'll be a fun game as well, too. Kelcey and I will be on the call for those from Colorcast to get to catch our thoughts on there. We both think the Rams will not get swept and they will keep their playoff hopes alive. But that's going to do it for us here on 4th and 4. And if you're listening to us on the live stream, jump on that Colorcast and join us for the tailgate and a chance to win a signed Joe Thomas jersey as well, too. And if you're in the area, come grab some beer, come grab some food, come shoot the ish, or jump on the hot seat on Colorcast and send us some of your hot takes, too. We got plenty of room. Come join us. Well, whether it's over Colorcast or come in person.
Yep.